After 8 years of a secret marriage, my wife signed a pair of twin brothers. As a gold medal agent, she poured all the company's resources into them. She even demanded I give up my spot on the New Year's Eve gala, but I refused. Later, when Ethan and Evan Marsh failed to get famous, they chose to commit suicide. In a fit of rage, Victoria Blackwood ran me over with her car repeatedly. Sincere Sterling, this is all because of your selfishness, your desperate attempt to make a comeback. If you had just given them the performance slot earlier, Ethan would never have been driven to suicide. When I opened my eyes again, I was back on the eve of the crash. Without hesitation, I chose to file for divorce and start my own musical journey. 1. Big S. You must have had your hands full last night. Big B isn't easy to satisfy. How many times was it? 6, 7 times, I guess? My back is a little sore today. In the office, I watched Ethan and Evan Marsh openly taunting me. Victoria Blackwood pushed the door open, her eyes filled with contempt and displeasure the moment she saw me. Sincere Sterling, I've already spoken with the directors. Ethan and Evan can take your place. Things change so fast in this industry. They are the rising stars, and you're a has-been. I nodded and replied calmly, "All right, I agree." Victoria was stunned. "Are you serious?" she asked, uncertain. "You worked so hard for this. It's your only chance for a comeback." "Yes, I know. But as you said, the old gives way to the new. Ethan and Evan certainly have potential." I said this without a hint of emotion. At the company, Victoria was my agent. We were just colleagues. No one knew we were married. She eyed me suspiciously. "It's for the best that you can see the big picture." I smiled and nodded. As I walked out of the office, I saw through the glass door as Ethan and Evan wrapped their arms around Victoria. In my last life, I didn't agree to Victoria's demand and instead practiced my song diligently. I got my spot on the New Year's Eve show as I'd hoped, and everyone at the company blamed me, calling me selfish and narrow-minded. I was back in the public eye, but despite the countless resources Victoria threw at Ethan and Evan, they failed to make a splash. Unable to handle the blow, Ethan committed suicide. Evan followed soon after, but not before sending a long message to Victoria. The gist of it was that because I hadn't given them that chance, they never got the exposure they needed during that prime-time holiday slot. The pressure of reality became too much for them to bear. When Victoria found out, tears streamed down her face. She drove me to the outskirts of the city and ran me down with her car. "Sincere Sterling, I've hated you for so long. Marrying you was the biggest regret of my life. If you hadn't refused to give up the performance, why would they have killed themselves? They're dead, so you can die too." She ran over my body again and again, just for revenge. I returned home and looked at the countless song drafts I had written, letting out a self-deprecating laugh. Victoria had long stopped giving me any resources, deliberately putting my career on ice to make way for Ethan and Evan. She had even secretly given them the songs I wrote. Late that night, she dragged herself home exhausted and habitually ordered me around. "Sincere, get me a glass of water." When I didn't respond, she walked into the music room, her brow furrowed in warning. "You already agreed, so who are you putting on that long face for? Don't you forget, if it weren't for me, you'd probably be begging on the streets by now." 2. For all these years, the copyrights to all my songs were in Victoria's hands, and I had signed a lifetime contract with her. She held my entire career in her grasp, which made her all the more reckless, certain I wouldn't dare do a thing. But 8 years ago, she was the one who pursued me. She admired my talent and said we would be a power couple, and for a while, I was a big star. But with the rise of short-form video, people's attention spans grew shorter. I slowly faded from the spotlight, and she found a pair of twin brothers. In my past life, I thought Victoria just wanted to promote new talent. I never imagined their relationship ran so deep. "What more do you want me to do?" I asked coldly. Victoria let out a scornful laugh. "Sincere, do you still think you're a top-tier singer? The industry needs new blood. You've been quiet for so long. What fans do you even have left?" "Right. So Ethan and Evan are more to your taste." She stood at the door, her face terrifyingly grim. Her phone rang and the voices of the two brothers came through. "Big B, we've been practicing all night, but the director still says it's not good enough. Did Sincere Sterling say something? Is that why they're targeting us?" Victoria shot me a hateful glare before speaking into the phone. "Don't worry. As long as I'm here, no one will bully you." Watching her leave, I called my lawyer. I wanted a divorce, and I wanted out of my contract. The next day, Victoria found me and said matter-of-factly, "Sincere, go and coach Ethan and Evan. Teach them everything you know." Hearing this, I felt an unprecedented sense of irony. Why me? "Didn't you already hire teachers for them?" She replied self-righteously. "Those teachers are incompetent and impatient. Ethan and Evan are still so young, and time is tight. Get to the practice room now." The teachers were excellent. It was Ethan and Evan who were a lost cause. They had no creative ability, so they used my songs, and Victoria had even put their names down as the composers. Not only was I supposed to tolerate her cheating on me with two guys, but I also had to hand over the songs I'd poured my heart and soul into. And now, she wanted me to teach them all my secrets. How could anyone be so shameless? But I didn't refuse. Instead, I smiled and said, "You're right. Ethan and Evan are so talented. Those people are just trying to rip you off." Victoria's expression was a mix of confidence and doting affection. Of course, the people I choose could never be that bad. I agreed and went to the practice room. In my last life, I had warned the brothers off, trying to assert my position. The result was Victoria disappearing for half a month and canceling or giving away all the opportunities I had worked hard to secure. This time, I took a different approach. "I don't think there's anything wrong with your singing. Those people are just being picky." Ethan's eyes lit up. After days of being put down, finally getting some validation made him ecstatic. "Sincere, are you serious? I mean, we were on a talent show. We've definitely got some ability." Evan didn't speak, but his eyes were shining too. I nodded, constantly affirming them. "Exactly. Your breathing is a bit unstable, but that's just your unique style. There are plenty of famous singers who mumble their words. You don't need to doubt yourselves." Ethan and Evan had been wary that I'd compete with them for Victoria's favor, but seeing my calm demeanor, they gradually let their guard down. I knew I couldn't stop them from performing at the New Year's Eve gala, but an overnight sensation? With their lack of talent, it was impossible. Under the guise of my praise, they grew even more arrogant. 3. During this time, Victoria was running around like a headless chicken, already starting to build hype for Ethan and Evan. Trending topics were arranged one after another, and behind-the-scenes clips of their practice sessions were released. But the more they marketed, the more the public's distaste grew. Just some ugly kids propped up by big money, with no looks or talent. I sat in a coffee shop. The lawyer across from me, Mr. Davies, stared at the documents I'd given him, his eyes wide with shock. "Mr. Sterling, this is a Pyrrhic victory. It'll hurt you almost as much as it hurts them. Are you sure about this?" "I'm sure." It was late when I returned home. For once, Victoria was there. "Where have you been? You don't have a job, yet you're still running around." Hearing her impatient tone, I just smiled and retorted, "They're performing the day after tomorrow. What are you doing home? You think I want to be here? Some paparazzi leaked our marriage certificate today and blackmailed me for a hefty sum. Did you leak it? No one even knows we're married. 8 years of marriage. Even at the peak of my fame, I had wanted to go public, but Victoria refused. She said it was for my own good, but really, she just wanted to get more out of me. She always claimed to be single, openly flirting with other men. "Why would I do that?" I asked. "Isn't it because of Ethan?" She trailed off. So she knew. Her heart had strayed a million miles away. I said nothing, just looked at her with calm eyes. I was the one who had tipped off the paparazzi. Victoria didn't say any more. She had poured all her money into them recently, and now with the blackmail payment there was nothing left. Her eyes darkened, as if she'd made a huge decision. "You should go stay at the old place for a while." "Fine. I moved out that night, back to the small apartment I'd bought before we were married. The next day I saw an online listing Victoria was selling the house. She was willing to do anything to prevent any negative press for Ethan and Evan. On New Year's Eve I sat in front of the TV. When Ethan and Evan appeared, the live comments scrolled even faster, but it wasn't the overnight fame they had imagined. It was a flood of scandals and curses. I can't believe it. Singing like that and they still get on a stage this prestigious. They must have some serious backing. What mogul would be interested in this kind of third-rate goods? I heard this was originally Sincere Sterling's spot, but he got replaced at the last minute. This time Victoria got her wish. Ethan and Evan were on the show, but they were torn to shreds by the public. The moment they stepped off stage, they were trending for all the wrong reasons. Even paid trolls couldn't control the narrative. Big B, this is how Sincere taught us. He said it would be fine. Yeah, what are we supposed to do now? Fuming, Victoria stormed over to my place with the two brothers right after they got off stage. The door rattled from her pounding. Sincere Sterling, get out here, you did this on purpose, didn't you? She screamed. I opened the door to face 3 pairs of eyes, wide with fury. Yes, you cheated on me during our marriage and tricked me into signing that contract. Now, I'm terminating the contract and filing for divorce. You dare? Victoria's eyes widened. The moment she lunged at me, she was surrounded by the pack of paparazzi I had waiting. 4. Ethan and Evan tried to run, but their path was completely blocked. Victoria Blackwood, you're Sincere Sterling's wife and agent, yet you're having an affair with these twin pretty boys. You even stole his opportunities for them. Can you tell us what you were thinking? Ethan was the first to react, playing the victim. You media vultures, don't take things out of context. My brother and I are just colleagues with Big B. Victoria's face was pale as she explained in a trembling voice, Sincere and I are indeed married. He hasn't been in a good state recently, so he voluntarily withdrew from the show. Ethan and Evan did not steal his spot. She shot me a look, expecting me to back her up. Instead, I said firmly, I've had a lot of free time recently. I'm in a great state. Victoria never expected me to say that. Faced with the barrage of cameras and microphones, she simply fainted. But as she collapsed to the floor, no one dared to catch her. Ethan and Evan exchanged a look before pulling out their phones to call for an ambulance. Meanwhile, I posted a message on my social media platform. We were in love once. I'll handle this. To my fans who support me, wait for my new work. In just 1 minute, the post had over 10,000 comments. Sincere, I listened to your songs all through middle school. I'm a casual fan, but I hope you can find a new life. Casual fan 1. I've been listening to your old albums for the past few years. Victoria Blackwood doesn't deserve you. Ethan and Evan Marsh, get out of the entertainment industry. After so much planning, all the evidence was collected. It was time for them to pay the price. I leaned back on the sofa, the knot of anxiety in my chest finally loosening. My previous posts had gotten so few comments I thought I had no fans left. Seeing so much support now, a warm current flowed through me. I had a rare good night's sleep. On the first day of the new year, I went with my lawyer to find Victoria. She screamed at me maniacally, Sincere Sterling, I thought you were a good man. The company is on the verge of collapse. Have you gone mad? What good does ruining me do you? Weren't you the one who agreed to give the opportunity to Ethan and Evan? I said coldly. I agreed they could be on the New Year's Eve gala, but I never agreed they could use my new song. Have you no shame? Using a song I worked so hard to create and putting the names of your 2 boy toys on it. Victoria's eyes were filled with pure hatred. So what? You're in your 30s. Can you compare to an 18-year-old? Mr. Davies stepped forward and stated professionally, Ms. Blackwood, you committed adultery during your marriage, and without the copyright holder's permission, you published and effectively stole Mr. Sterling's musical work. This constitutes copyright infringement. The contract with the exorbitant penalty clause is also problematic, as are the copyright claims. We will be filing a lawsuit. She gritted her teeth in disbelief. You're going to sue me? Sincere Sterling, don't you forget I was the one who got you all those opportunities back in the day. Were you? You had this all planned from the start, and now you're trying to threaten me. I raised an eyebrow. Seeing my expression, she began to panic, her tone softening. Sincere, you wouldn't do this to me. Let's just talk this out, can we? I refused flatly. There's nothing to talk about. Wait for the court summons. She scrambled out of bed, lost her footing, and fell to the floor. It hurt, Sincere. Don't go. 5. I turned back to look. A trickle of blood was seeping from between Victoria's legs. She cried out in a panic. Doctor, doctor, my baby, save my baby, I scoffed. We hadn't been intimate in 3 years. She probably didn't even know whose child it was. As doctors and nurses rushed in, I turned and left. Soon after I got home, my phone was flooded with messages from Ethan and Evan. They accused me of being heartless, of leaving her to suffer when we were once husband and wife. I ignored the messages and immersed myself in creating my new album. A few days later, Ethan showed up at my door. Sincere Sterling, haven't you made us miserable enough? Big B is still in the hospital trying to save the pregnancy, and you're still going to sue her? I punched him square in the face. What does your child have to do with me? I said, my voice ice cold. She's trying to save the pregnancy, and isn't Evan right there by her side? Ethan staggered but managed to stay on his feet. He tried to fight back, but I slapped him so hard he slammed against the wall. Sincere Sterling, you planned all of this, didn't you? You deliberately told us our singing was fine, that there was no problem. Now we're a public laughingstock, and this huge scandal is broken. How are we ever supposed to make a comeback? I raised an eyebrow and sneered. So? The 3 of you are trying to pin everything on me now? Ethan didn't dare to strike back. He just stood there, propping himself up. Big B won't let you get away with this. I'd love to see what she's going to do to me. Ethan took several steps back, a look of fear in his eyes. I cracked my knuckles. Go back and tell Victoria Blackwood I'll see her in court, I said coldly. During the New Year holiday, as everyone was resting, the comments on my social media were all telling me not to forgive the scumbag woman and her boy toys. After the scandal broke, Ethan and Evan's careers came to a dead halt. After Ethan went back and tattled to Victoria, she called me in a rage. Sincere Sterling, who gave you the right to hit him? Ethan was just upset on my behalf and you beat him into a pulp. How is that reasonable? A punch and a slap could cause serious injury? That's a new one on me. He came to my door looking for a fight. Is that my fault? What are you so upset about? You got on the gala, and now you're trending every day. Aren't you happy? Victoria was seething. Ethan did nothing wrong. All he did was ask you to pull out of the show. You're incredibly vindictive. You have no regard for all our years together. What years? I said calmly. What relationship is there between us? You're pregnant with someone else's child. Do you expect me to take responsibility for that? I could hear Evan's voice in the background. Big B. If Big S is so upset about it, my brother and I can leave. No, Victoria cried out in anguish. Even if I have nothing left, I will not give up on you. I promised I would make you huge stars. Evan, Ethan, you have to believe me. I cut in sarcastically. Aren't you famous enough? Everyone knows about the 3 of you. The agent who cheated with twins. How thrilling. Before they could respond, I hung up. Victoria checked out of the hospital that day, trying to find some opportunities for Ethan and Evan. But now everyone in the industry was just watching them as a joke. Seeing no other way, she came to find me again, this time with a completely different demeanor. 6. Sincere Sterling, can we please just talk? Victoria was truly at her wit's end. Even though she had launched many careers, now that she was mired in scandal, no one dared to associate with her. What talk? She just wanted me to come out and make her look good. What is there for you and me to talk about? Do we have to take this to court? Ethan and Evan's careers are just beginning. You can't do this. Victoria, what do their careers have to do with me? I'm not some fool who's going to tolerate you putting my career on ice while you cheat on me. When she first signed me, she was just an unknown agent. I earned her her first big paycheck, which helped the company get off the ground. Victoria had long forgotten where she came from. She was arrogant and conceited. She roared at me, unwilling to accept defeat. So what, you're just going to destroy me? Destroy Ethan and Evan? Didn't you destroy me first? Don't talk to me about old times. There's been nothing between us for a long time. Seeing that I wouldn't back down, she tried a different tack. You can slander me, even send me to prison, but Ethan and Evan have nothing to do with this. Release a statement now and clear their names. I scoffed, not even sparing her a glance. Impossible. Victoria, you're not new to this industry. Can't you see the situation you're in? At this, she fell silent, staring at me with hatred for a long moment, looking like she was about to cause a scene. I called security and had her thrown out. While waiting for the court date, Victoria continued to run around for Ethan and Evan. She wouldn't give up, even if there was only a 1 in a million chance. At a business dinner, despite being pregnant, Victoria drank heavily, begging a brand representative for a deal, only to be rejected. She had a miscarriage. Using this as an excuse, she posted a long sob story online. She claimed I was cruel, that I had set a trap for them to fall into. She alleged the child she lost was mine, and that I had abandoned her. Victoria thought I would be concerned about my image and wouldn't get into an online flame war with her. But I directly posted the recordings of her and Ethan exposing her affair. At this point, what face did I have left to save? She had never once thought of me. The public was clear-eyed. The comments were a firestorm, all directed at Victoria, Ethan, and Evan. Before the trial, Victoria found me one last time. I have nothing left now. You must be happy. Really. I heard you sold your house and car to fund a short-form drama for Ethan and Evan. How is that nothing? Hearing this, she lunged at me, but I pushed her away. Victoria, why should I just take your abuse? I will not settle, and I will not forgive you. Her eyes were red as she looked up at me, her lips trembling. I don't need your forgiveness. I believe in them. They will go far. Oh, whatever you say. With that, I walked away. She scrambled up from the floor and yelled at my back. Sincere Sterling, you're just a selfish person. I was so wrong about you in my past life. Wasn't I the one who had been so wrong about her? I always thought there was still hope for us. But what was the result? She ran me over with her car, again and again. This time, I would show no mercy. Mr. Davies was very capable. Victoria's eloquent and manipulative arguments were useless. She stole my music, that was a fact, and I would not be paying the contract's penalty fee. 7. Victoria lost the case and was sentenced to 2 years in prison. Unwilling to accept the verdict, she appealed, insisting the songs were a gift. She lost again. In the courtroom, she hurled insults at me, blaming me for everything. I ignored her tirade and walked out, putting on my sunglasses. After months of preparation, my album was released. Within a week, it shot to the top of every chart. My career was reviving. Invitations for variety shows and collaborations from various platforms poured in. One day, as I returned to my RV, I heard some news. The short-form drama Victoria had sold everything to fund for Ethan and Evan before going to prison had been a total flop. Ethan had attempted suicide and was now listless and depressed after being rescued. Victoria, in prison, was heartbroken but helpless. I just laughed quietly. They really had no backbone. The two brothers had done everything to please Victoria for resources, thinking their path would be smooth, only to end up like this. They had no talent of their own, yet thought they could effortlessly switch between being singers and actors. How was that possible? During a break from filming a variety show, I had just gotten back to my RV when Evan burst in like a madman. Sincere Sterling, my brother tried to kill himself. You're a murderer. My agent and assistant tried to throw him out, but I stopped them. Evan, who was it that said they would do whatever it took to make you famous? It's not like Victoria's in prison forever. She was the one who hid the fact that she was married. Wasn't she just deceiving you? Besides, she's been in this industry for so long, you think she doesn't have a backup plan? If you're looking for revenge, you should settle your scores with the right person. Evan fell silent, standing there, lost in thought. He was right. He and his brother had bent over backward to please Victoria, and now they had nothing. I saw the hatred in his eyes and said nothing more. They never bothered me again, and the suicide theatrics stopped. I participated in music shows, rearranged songs, and constantly worked to increase my influence. Even if it meant sleeping only 4 hours a night, I didn't dare to slack off for a moment. Another New Year's Eve came, and I finally stood on the stage I'd dreamed of. Outside the studio, fans waved light sticks with my name on them. Standing on stage, my eyes filled with tears. I choked up as I finished my signature song and then went out to thank my fans. After signing autographs and handing out milk tea, I had just gotten home. In the hallway, I saw a familiar figure. Victoria was backing away in fear. "Ethan, you can't do this to me." Ethan laughed loudly, a crazed look in his eyes. "Then how do you want us to treat you? You promised us things. Why didn't you deliver?" "If it weren't for you, we would have been huge stars by now," Evan chimed in. "Victoria, our careers in entertainment are over, but you have to take responsibility for us." Victoria resisted. "I just got out of prison. I have nothing. How can I be responsible for you?" Ethan didn't care. He slapped her hard across the face. "Why do you think I'm still alive? If it wasn't for revenge, I would have died long ago. If you hadn't exaggerated your abilities and insisted on signing us, who knows, we might have been famous by now." Victoria was stunned by the slap, unable to believe that the sweet toy boy from before could turn into this monster. "Ethan, Evan, don't you have any feelings for me at all? I went to prison for you 8. You're just a two-timing bitch. Did you really think we would love you?" Ethan sneered. Evan rolled his eyes to the heavens. "Old woman, if you didn't have resources and money, do you think we would have licked your boots?" I started clapping slowly. What a show. When Victoria saw me, she rushed over. "Sincere, you're back there bullying me." I pushed her away. She froze for a few seconds, then quickly said I was wrong. "Please forgive me, okay?" But Ethan just laughed. "Victoria, do you really think Sincere Sterling would still want you? He's a star singer now, and you're a woman with a record. Just come with us. Whatever you have left, hurry up and give it to us," Evan said, grabbing Victoria's arm to drag her away. She struggled free, looking at me with tear-filled eyes, her voice pleading. "Sincere, I know I was foolish before. I've paid the price. I can't go with them. They won't let me go. You've made your comeback now. Please hire a bodyguard to protect me, okay? I'll be your agent again just like before." I laughed out loud, but my voice was ice cold. "Victoria, what dream are you still living in? Why would I be with you? You have them with you now. You should be very happy." Seeing my attitude, Ethan and his brother dragged her away without another word. She had sought my help, but how could I possibly have any feelings for her? On the 3rd day of the new year, I was already back to work, preparing for this year's concert tour. A friend in the industry sent me a video. Ethan and Evan had beaten Victoria, and the whole affair ended up at the police station. They were convinced Victoria still had money hidden away, but the truth was she had been blinded by love and sold everything to try and make them famous. The brothers she once doted on now hated her with a passion. Seeing that they couldn't squeeze any more value out of her, Ethan turned on her first, with Evan close behind. Why would young, hot-headed toy boys ever truly fall for a woman 10 years their senior? I launched my concert tour for the year. To give back to my fans, the ticket prices were half the usual rate. The website crashed several times, and countless fans flooded my social media comments. "You're my one and only idol. Please add more shows. I really can't get a ticket. I want to see you live. But the tickets are gone in a second, help a girl." Out seeing these comments, I simply added more shows. Having clawed my way back from the bottom, I cherished the support of my fans more than anything. My already packed schedule began to take a toll on my body. My fever hit 104 degrees, and my agent forced me to go to the hospital. Just as the IV drip was set up, I heard shouting from the hallway. "Victoria, how dare you run again? All I asked was for you to go out and earn some money. Can't you do something that simple?" "I don't owe you anything," she said, her voice filled with despair. Why are you doing this to me? I'm calling the police. I'm going to find the police. Ethan sneered. You're my girlfriend. No one can help you. You were the one who promised you'd make us famous and take care of us for life. How can you go back on your word now? Evan added, Victoria, didn't you say you'd do anything for us? Don't run away now. With my assistant's help, I walked out of my room. When Evan saw me, he froze for a second before speaking sarcastically. Sincere Sterling, don't tell me you're going to play the hero and save the damsel in distress? I made no effort to hide my intentions. Extending a hand in a dismissive gesture, I smiled. Go ahead. I'm just here to watch the show. Victoria shook her head frantically. Sincere, save me, save me. 9. You too. Carry on. The surrounding nurses were already used to it. The saga of Victoria and the Marsh brothers was infamous. Now they were in the hospital every other day. They would even start doing those things right in the hospital room. She was admitted today for vaginal bleeding. Who knows how rough they'd been. Victoria begged me, on the verge of kneeling. Sincere, I truly know I was wrong. What I did before was terrible, but I'm at my wit's end now. If this goes on, I'm really going to die. They're not human. I took a step back, standing at the door of my room. What does your life or death have to do with me? I'm just here as a patient. No, we were husband and wife. After all, how can you bear to watch me end up like this and not help? I know I was wrong. I was blinded by their good looks, but I have nothing now. Please, I'm begging you, help me, won't you? I let out a cold laugh but didn't answer. Seeing this, Ethan kicked Victoria squarely. Do you still think you're that gold medal agent? Get real. Victoria let out a pained cry. I gave you 2 everything. Why won't you leave me alone? You made us a promise, so you have to be responsible. After watching the farce, I went back to my room and lay down. I still remembered my own brutal death in my past life. I had thought their love was so deep, but it was all just for personal gain. Victoria was seduced by the twins' beauty, seeking a new thrill. Now, it was just dogs eating dogs, while my career was on the rise. The next day, as I was preparing to be discharged, I saw all the medical staff rushing towards the roof. It turned out that last night Victoria couldn't take it anymore. While the Marsh brothers were sound asleep, she took a fruit knife and stabbed Ethan over a dozen times. Evan had taken sleeping pills and was in a deep sleep. Victoria, in a blind rage, killed him too. But she didn't try to escape. She was standing on the hospital roof, intending to kill herself. All I want is to live a decent life. Is that too much to ask? Why does everyone have to push me to the brink? I only made one mistake through the crowd. Victoria saw me. She looked in my direction and cried out mournfully, Sincere Sterling, do you hate me that much? Sending me to prison wasn't enough. You had to push me until I had no way out. We could have parted amicably, but you had to hunt me down and destroy me. I said nothing, just watched her quietly. The police were still trying to talk her down, to get her to calm down. But she wouldn't listen, just rambled on like a madwoman. It doesn't matter. I killed both Ethan and Evan. They deserved it. They pimped me out to those old men, they gang-raped me, they ruined my life. Then in front of everyone, she leaped from the roof, ending her own life. I only wanted to see their final outcome. Now that the dust had settled, I turned and left. In the end, didn't they bring all of this upon themselves? The brothers wanted a shortcut to fame. Victoria thought a pair of twins would be a thrill. In my last life, even at the very end, I still loved her. I thought that after so many years of marriage, there were still some feelings left. But being reborn, all I wanted was to hold my destiny firmly in my own hands. The name Victoria Blackwood would be nailed to the pillar of shame until the end of time, forever tied to Ethan and Evan Marsh. 10. Before the concert began, I received a package from Victoria. Inside was a long letter and our wedding rings. Sincere, whether you believe it or not, I really did love you once. I just don't know when I forgot how to. I refused to make our relationship public, and I welcomed the advances of others. I even thought that you would never leave me. Even when you first told me you wanted a divorce and were suing me, I thought it was impossible. But I was so terribly wrong. This ring, you made it yourself. I'm returning it to you now. I didn't read any further. The person was dead. Words were useless now. Heaven took pity on me and gave me a second chance. Victoria truly did regret it in the end, but only because she saw the true colors of Ethan and Evan. If she hadn't, she would never have chosen me again. She would have done the same as in my last life, run me down without a second thought. I threw the package, rings and all, into the trash. Taking out a sanitizing wipe, I carefully cleaned my fingers. My assistant came in. "Sincere, the concert is about to start. We should head out." I nodded. Waiting backstage, I could hear the roar of countless fans. Standing on the stage, looking out at the completely full venue, I began my first song. During the mass sing-along, I was so moved my eyes turned red and tears began to fall. I was a man who had clawed his way back from hell. How could I not cherish being loved by so many people again? During the intermission, I stood on stage and spoke from the heart to the audience. Thank you all so much for always supporting me, for being by my side. It's cold today, but I feel so warm because I have all of you standing behind me. Someone in the crowd shouted. "We will always support you." Wave after wave of shouts completely enveloped me. I love this stage, I love to sing. All my desperate efforts have finally brought me to the stage of my dreams. For the rest of my life, I poured all my energy into my career. Whenever someone asked if I planned to be single forever because of my previous marriage, I would always smile and say, "No, I think my life is great right now." Music is where I pour all my emotions. To be able to stand on this stage again is the greatest gift God could have given me. Many years later, I finally became an incredibly successful singer with a huge base of fans and broad public appeal. 1,000 years ago, the Kirin clan, at the cost of countless lives, helped Celeste subdue the demons and seal them in the abyss of shadows. A millennium later, because of a single statement from the demon prince, "I've heard that Kirin brains can cure my migraines," my clan was massacred overnight. I stood amidst the ruins of my homeland, staring blankly for a long time. "Mother, you once told me that the world was at peace, that Celeste was kind-hearted, and that her godly powers, defying the heavens, were a blessing to the three realms. But now, do you still believe that?" The day before my clan was slaughtered, my little brother Leo, not yet in his full form, chirped incessantly, begging me to go to the mortal world to buy him candied fruit. Annoyed, I almost kicked him away, but Mother stopped me with a smile. "Phoenix, that's your brother," she said. "He's the dearest person to you in all the realms. You can't treat him like a wild beast." "The dearest person," she said. I was born with dulled senses and couldn't grasp the meaning of those words, but I always heeded Mother's advice. So, I put my claws down and promised him I'd bring the candied fruit back the next day. Leo was so happy that he rolled around on the ground. I looked at him with disdain, muttering, "Noisy." But when dawn broke the next day, I still flew down to the mortal world to buy the candied fruit. When I returned holding the candied fruit, I stood at the entrance of our home, utterly lost. The ground was littered with Kirin corpses. My little brother, who had beamed up at me just that morning and called me brother, now lay decapitated on the ground, his head severed from his body. His skull had been cracked open, and his brain spilled onto the earth. With great effort, I pried open his tightly clenched hand. Inside was the night pearl I had casually given him on his 100th birthday. I stared at the pearl for a long time before finally speaking. "You fool," I murmured. "You're dead. What's the point of holding on to this? It's deformed now. You must have been in so much pain." I sat there from daylight to nightfall. When Sovereign arrived, he looked at me, first in shock, then shook his head. "At least there's a survivor," he said. "The Kirin clan isn't entirely extinct." I looked up at him in confusion and asked what should be done. He seemed startled by my question, then sighed. "Don't worry," he said. "I'll protect your life." This time Celeste went too far. All of this because of a passing remark from the demon prince? It's outrageous. I've already reprimanded her. She won't trouble you again. I couldn't understand. I stared at him blankly and asked, "But Mother always said that those who kill must pay with their lives. Why did you only scold her?" His compassionate expression cracked slightly, and anger flickered across his face. "Ridiculous," he exclaimed. "Do you even know who you're talking about? She is the ruler of heaven and earth. The divine who subdued demons and exterminated monsters to bring a millennium of peace to the realms. How dare you harbor thoughts of killing her? The layers of pressure from his words crushed me, leaving me gasping for air. I opened my mouth to speak, but blood surged up, spilling from my lips before I could utter a sound. Gritting my teeth, I pushed back. "You're wrong," I said. "Mother told me that the millennium of peace wasn't her doing alone. The Kirin clan sacrifices, nearly wiping out the dragons and leaving only a handful of survivors, that's what brought about this era of peace. It wasn't her alone." With every word I spoke, the pressure on me grew heavier. Just when I thought my bones were about to shatter and I would be crushed into nothingness, the heavens began to tremble. I felt the presence of countless Kirin rushing to my aid, their voices echoing, "Spare him, sovereign! Spare him, sovereign! Spare him, sovereign!" The voices overlapped, growing louder and louder, filling the air with dragon roars, bird cries, and tiger growls. These echoes formed a protective barrier around me, and then I fainted. When I awoke, I was already in the celestial palace. Celeste stood above me, looking down as if I were an ant. "Dusk's migraines have been mostly cured," she said indifferently. "Your Kirin clan's sacrifice served its purpose. It wasn't in vain. I'll issue a decree to make you a divine lord. Stop causing trouble." Ignoring the deep ache in my bones, I stubbornly looked up at her. "But my mother said that those who kill must pay with their lives. I don't want to be a divine lord. I just want you to uphold the laws of mortals." Celeste squinted at me for a long moment before suddenly laughing. "Do you even know who Dusk is?" she asked. "If you want justice, then curing Dusk should be this world's top priority. Dusk was once the ancient who willingly sacrificed himself a millennium ago to mend the shattered realms with his flesh and blood. If you're talking about justice, then every living being in this world owes him their lives." Her eyes sparkled as she spoke of Dusk, the same way Mother's eyes lit up when she spoke of Father. I lowered my head, thinking carefully about whether Celeste could be right. But I'm a bit slow, and no matter how much I thought about it, I couldn't figure it out. If only Mother were here, she would have told me whether those words were true. Celeste seemed to lose interest in talking to me and waved her hand dismissively. "Leave," she said. But I didn't move. I stubbornly believed that the deaths of my father, mother, brother, uncles, and cousins couldn't be brushed aside so easily. Celeste grew irritated. "What do you want, then?" she asked. After some thought, I answered firmly, "Those who kill must pay with their lives." As soon as the words left my mouth, a spell struck me, slamming me to the ground. I coughed up a mouthful of blood as Celeste sneered at me. "Fool," she said. "Only the strong have the right to speak of their desires. Only the strong can wield the power of life and death. Justice has always been reserved for the powerful." Clutching my chest, I struggled to stand. I nodded blankly. So it turned out that to kill her, I just needed to be stronger than her. That's it. If someone had told me earlier, I wouldn't have wasted so much time. Unfortunately, the lesson that the strong prevail wasn't something my mother ever taught me. She only told me to reason with others. As I clutched my chest and staggered out of the hall, I bumped into a man clad in dark robes. His face was adorned with a bright smile, and the moment he saw me, his eyes lit up. He rushed toward Celeste. "Ah, Celeste, there's even a Kirin here. Quickly crack his skull open for me. Alive, of course." The last little Kirin with fiery clouds on its head tasted amazing when eaten alive. Hearing this, I couldn't help but turn to look at him. Among the Kirin clan, only my brother had fiery clouds on his head. Celeste gently caressed his face with affection. "This is the last Kirin in the world. We can't kill him. Otherwise, the other beasts won't remain subdued." Dusk lowered his eyes with resignation. "It's just a beast. What's the big deal?" I stopped listening and limped out of the divine realm. "Mother, didn't you say the divine loved the world? Then why does it feel so different from what you told me?" When I returned to the mortal realm, Drake and Faye were waiting for me at home. Seeing me covered in wounds, they trembled with anger before letting out a sigh. Faye gently stroked my head and said, "Nix, stop provoking them. Just live your life well." Confused, I looked at Faye. "Why? Shouldn't murderers pay with their lives?" Faye shook her head. "No. Living is what matters most. You're the last bloodline of the Kirin clan. There's nothing more important than surviving. Besides, your mother probably didn't want you to seek revenge. She just wanted you to live." I didn't respond. Instead, I picked up a shovel and started digging a hole at the entrance of our home. My father, my mother, and my foolish little brother, they all deserved a proper burial. Holding my brother's head, I suddenly remembered what Dusk had said. My brother had his brain split open while still alive. It must have hurt. It must have hurt so much. No wonder the luminous pearl in his hand was crushed out of shape. Just this morning he was so full of life, and now he's as cold as ice. No one will ever chirp and call me brother again. It's so quiet. Yes, so quiet. But it's too quiet. A gust of wind stung my eyes. Why were there tears? Mother said I was born with dulled senses. It must be the wind. Yes, it's just the wind. After burying my father and mother, I leaned against their gravestone, muttering, "Mother, you used to tell me the world was at peace and the divine was compassionate. What about now? Do you still believe that?" "Mother, I still think murderers should pay with their lives." "Mother, I want to go to the eastern wilds and reclaim the other half of my powers." "Mother, I don't want to listen to you anymore." "Mother, don't blame me." "Mother, I just miss you a little, and I miss my brother too." When I reached the eastern wilds, Sage was leaning against his true form, a massive tree waiting for me. When he saw me, he sighed. "So you've come after all." I asked him, "How did you know I'd come?" Sage was a tree spirit. No one knew exactly how many millennia he had lived. All I knew was that ever since Mother could remember, he had always been like this. Back then, Mother had pleaded with him to seal away my powers. He hesitated for a long time before saying, "During the war between the divine and the demons, the great beings of the Beast clan perished, leaving them defenseless. Heaven, in its mercy, bestowed this little boy upon you. He is extraordinarily gifted and will one day safeguard the Beast clan. Why would you want to suppress his powers?" Mother laughed heartily. "If it were anyone else, I wouldn't bother. But my son was born with dulled senses. He doesn't know his own strength. I'm afraid he'll hurt others. I don't ask for him to achieve greatness, just for him to live a healthy and peaceful life. Besides, the world is at peace now, and Celestial is a benevolent ruler. The Beast clan doesn't need a child to protect them." In the end, Sage couldn't refuse Mother and cast a spell to strip me of my powers. Sage looked into my eyes, and for once his usually calm gaze stirred with emotion. He said, "I didn't agree with your mother when she asked me to take your powers, and now as you seek to reclaim them, I feel compelled to dissuade you again. Let me ask you, once you regain your powers, what will you do?" "Kill," I replied. "An eye for an eye, blood for blood." Sage shook his head. "And that's precisely why I must dissuade you. With your full powers, killing Celeste would be effortless. But have you considered what would happen afterward? The world would descend into chaos and countless lives would be lost. I'm not asking you to think from the perspective of all beings in the three realms. Just think from your mother's perspective. Do you think this is what she would want?" I whispered, "Mother, she truly was a paragon of compassion. There's no way she would want to see the three realms in turmoil." Seeing my hesitation, Sage let out a breath of relief. "If you're uncertain, stay here in the eastern wilds and think it over. Take as long as you need. Time is abundant for a divine beast like you. Even if it takes tens of thousands of years, it won't matter much." But later, in countless sleepless nights, I would wonder why I hesitated. If I had been decisive back then, perhaps the events that followed wouldn't have occurred. Seasons came and went. I had already spent over a century in the eastern wilds. The silence of this place was finally broken by a small worm who accidentally stumbled into the barrier. Her body was pitch black, barely clinging to life, as though she might die at any moment. I recognized her as the youngest daughter of Drake's family, Drake's precious little girl, Worm. I carried Drake as I sprinted to Sage. Without asking a single question, Sage activated his spiritual energy and continuously transferred it to Drake. I remembered Mother once telling me that Sage's healing abilities were among the best in the three realms, even capable of reviving the dead and regenerating bones. Yet, despite such powers, it still took Drake 7 days and 7 nights of unconsciousness before waking up, which showed just how severe her injuries were. The moment she regained consciousness, she clung to me and cried uncontrollably. I patted her back, asking what had happened. Through her sobs, Drake told me that Uncle Drake and Aunt Faye were dead, and both the Dragon and Phoenix clans had been annihilated, just like the Kieran clan once was. She revealed that Uncle Drake had expended all his cultivation to save her. Each word she spoke weighed heavier on my heart. Drake continued, saying that Celeste had promised to marry Dusk and vowed to offer him both heaven and earth in their union. Dusk desired a phoenix robe, so Celeste casually ordered the extermination of the Phoenix clan, plucking every phoenix feather to craft the robe. Then Dusk expressed his wish for a dragon horn carriage, and Celeste again decreed the slaughter of the dragon clan, snapping off every dragon's horn. Through her tears, Drake choked out that before she was pushed away to safety, she saw Celeste holding Dusk and saying, "I promised you both heaven and earth, and I will not deceive you. Whatever you desire in this world, I will give it to you. I will prove to all of creation that I love you." At this point, Drake was crying so hard she could barely speak. She clung to me and asked, "Phoenix, tell me, what does her love for him have to do with us? Why did my father, my mother, and all my brothers and sisters have to die?" I had no answer for her because I didn't know. Stroking her head, my thoughts involuntarily drifted to my younger brother, Leo, that mischievous little Kieran who had yet to be named before being devoured alive by Dusk. I turned to Sage. What should I do now? Sage remained silent for a long time before letting out a sigh. The fault lies with Divine for her cruelty, but I must still urge you not to act recklessly. The peace of the three realms still depends on her. If you were to take up your sword and storm the 9 heavens now, it would surely lead to untold suffering. Is that what you want? I nodded, though Sage would never live to see the day I came to terms with this advice. The whole world knew of the ancient arbor in the eastern wilderness, a tree so old it was said to share the lifespan of heaven and earth. One day Dusk casually mentioned wanting to craft a grand bed from arbor's wood. Without hesitation, Celeste assembled an entourage of celestial lords and led them deep into the wilderness to seize it. Though Elder was ancient, his cultivation was devoted to healing and concealment, leaving him no match for Celeste. He was defeated within moments. In his final breath, Elder used his remaining spiritual energy to cast a cloaking spell over Drake and me, hiding us from sight. I lay motionless beside Elder's lifeless body, pressing my hand tightly over Drake's mouth to stifle any sound. Soon, the pristine and untouchable Celestial descended alongside her beloved ancient. Standing beside Elder's corpse, they began discussing what shape the bed should take. Dusk gestured enthusiastically, his face alight with excitement, while Celeste stood by, gazing at him adoringly. Dusk laughed. "Celeste, you're so good to me." Celeste's eyes were filled with tenderness, her gaze fixated solely on him. "1,000 years ago, failing to protect you was the greatest regret of my life. Heaven itself took pity on me and returned you to my side. This time I will not let you suffer any grievance. Whatever you desire, I will give it to you with all the power of the heavens." The golden glow of the setting sun bathed them in its light. They looked every bit the perfect couple, if only their love didn't come at the cost of mountains of corpses and rivers of blood. I left Drake safely hidden within the Bodhi cavern of the eastern wilderness. As I prepared to leave, she clung to my arm, her eyes brimming with tears. "Phoenix, are you going to leave me behind and go alone?" I stroked her head. "If my brother were alive, he would be about your age by now, fully transformed. He was the most beautiful Kirin of our generation. He would have been breathtaking in his human form. When he was alive, I often found him noisy and annoying. But now I miss him. I miss him so much. Yet for their selfish desires, they destroyed my home, killed my brother, and decimated my clan. This blood-soaked hatred cannot go unanswered." Drake stared at me in shock. "Phoenix, are you saying?" I looked down at the sword in my hand. "I will ascend the 9 heavens and shatter the skies with my blade. I want to see just how precious the love of those gods truly is." When I arrived at the 9 heavens, the entire palace was filled with luminous pearls, densely scattered every 5 steps. Golden threads entwined each pearl, and upon closer inspection, I realized they were made from the tendons of deer. A passing celestial servant remarked enviously, "The divine is so good to the prince, gathering the splendor of the world to ensure the wedding is flawless." Without hesitation, I raised my sword and struck the celestial servant down, sparing not a moment of mercy. A life lived without reverence for life itself deserves death. The commotion quickly drew Sovereign to the scene. He paused upon seeing me, then resumed his usual compassionate demeanor. Gazing at the servant's corpse, he sighed, "A life is still a life. Why did you kill her? Sheathing my sword, I bowed to Sovereign. When I was a child, Mother told me that Sovereign was the kindest and most compassionate of all celestial beings. Sadly, I was born without the ability to comprehend such things. But today, seeing your reaction to the death of a mere servant, I finally understand a little of what she meant. Sovereign froze for a moment, seemingly surprised by how agreeable I was. He waved his hand dismissively and said, "Serving as a sword-bearer in the celestial palace is indeed a grave offense. However, considering your young age and the fact that you are the last of your kind, a Kirin, I will let it slide. You may leave." I gripped my sword tighter and stepped forward. "You may let it slide, but I have a question for you. You wear that sanctimonious expression every day, acting as if you care for all. Where were you when Celeste rampaged through my beast clan? Open your damned eyes and take a good look at these 33 heavens. Every 5 steps, there's a relic, each one a fallen soul from my clan. Did you ever see them?" As soon as I finished speaking, Sovereign's eyes flared with murderous intent. Yet before he could act, scattered immortals arrived from all directions, creating discord among themselves. Sovereign's expression dimmed, his teeth clenched as he suppressed his killing intent, reverting to his usual look of compassion. An elder immortal who had once been friendly with the Beast Clan tried to persuade me. "Little Kirin, leave now before Celestial unleashes her fury. The Kirin clan must survive with at least one bloodline intact." I remained unmoved, stepping forward again to glare directly at Sovereign. "Did you ever see them?" I pressed. Sovereign, intent on maintaining his hypocritical facade, could not bring himself to kill the last surviving Kirin. He sighed deeply. "Indeed, Celeste's actions were excessive. I have already reprimanded her. After her wedding, she and her consort will offer an apology to the Beast Clan." I tilted my head back and laughed bitterly. The lives of millions in the Beast Clan are less significant than her wedding? Countless mountains of corpses and rivers of blood from near-extinct clans, all worth nothing more than a mere apology? Is that it? Sovereign's facade was on the verge of crumbling when an overwhelming pressure suddenly swept through the area. I steadied myself, and then I saw Celeste arriving on the clouds with dusk by her side. She stood a mere 10 feet away from me, looking at me with the same disdain one might have for an ant. "I command the seas and the lands, ruling the heavens. If I were to offer an apology, it would already be an extraordinary honor for them. Besides, their death served to add splendor to my wedding and bring dusk joy. Their fleeting lives in this world are not wasted." I took a deep breath, trembling with rage as I gripped my sword tightly. "You treat life as mere grass and all beings as fodder. How dare you claim the title of supreme ruler of the heavens?" My words caused Celeste's calm demeanor to falter. She demanded, "Who are you to criticize me? Do you not understand that if it weren't for me vanquishing demons and monsters, there would be no peace across the lands for the past 1,000 years? Always the same rhetoric." I looked coldly at Celeste. "The 1,000 years of peace were never solely your doing. 1,000 years ago, the Beast Clan followed your orders to bring peace to the seas, sacrificing countless of their own. And you, as the enforcer of the 3 realms, not only failed to protect the Beast Clan, but also turned your blade against them 1,000 years later. Celeste, how dare you call yourself divine?" Celeste roared in anger. "What do you know? 1,000 years ago, Dusk willingly sacrificed himself to nourish the lands with his blood and flesh. It is because of him that this era of prosperity exists. You owe him. Whatever he demands now is his rightful due." I smirked and replied, "When I was a child, my mother told me an amusing tale. She said that the one who was meant to sacrifice themselves for the world 1,000 years ago was Celestial herself. Yet on the day the ritual was to take place, she was intercepted by demons. Ancient, unwilling to let the world suffer, stepped into the ritual without hesitation. Back then I thought it was just a story, but now it seems the invincible Celestial was somehow stopped by these so-called demons. And now, seeing how she indulges this fiend, one must wonder if it's out of genuine affection or guilt. Celestial, who ceaselessly reminds the 3 realms of their debt to Dusk. How do we know who owes him most?" With every word I spoke, Celeste's face grew paler. Dusk, noticing her emotional turmoil, turned to tightly embrace her waist. "Celeste, I don't care about what happened 1,000 years ago. All I know is that I love you now, and you treat me well. No matter what I ask for, you do everything in your power to fulfill it. That's all that matters. The past is irrelevant. It truly doesn't matter." Celeste was deeply moved by Dusk's words, her eyes reddening slightly. "Dusk, I swear upon my divine name that I will betray the three realms before I ever betray you. As long as you are happy, I don't care if I become infamous. If it pleases you, I will slaughter the three realms for you." Blood-red anger filled my vision as a deep-seated rage consumed my very soul. "What kind of monsters are you? Your disgusting love is not worthy of being compared to the three realms." Celeste stepped forward with Dusk by her side, sneering. "What kind of monster am I? I am Celestial, the ruler of the heavens, the strongest being in existence. I command this world, and all creatures bow before me." I met Celeste's overwhelming aura without hesitation. "Then what of justice and the order of heaven?" "I am justice. I am the order of heaven." With that, Celeste gently stroked Dusk's head and asked him, "Dusk, didn't you say you wanted to taste Kirin brain? Shall I capture him for you so you can eat it fresh?" Dusk looked up at Celeste and laughed heartily. "Yes, Celeste, that sounds wonderful." Celeste summoned 40% of her power and attacked me. If this had been me 2 weeks ago, I would have been utterly crushed by such an overwhelming assault. Not killed outright, but gravely injured and incapable of further resistance. But now, with my full strength restored, I effortlessly dodged her strike. Celeste frowned, a rare seriousness crossing her face as she realized this was the first time she truly regarded me as an opponent. She unleashed her full power, attacking me with everything she had. I countered her every move, and after exchanging more than 10 blows, she began to falter. Around us, murmurs filled the air, but none dared step forward. The battle between two unparalleled powerhouses was nothing short of devastating. Anyone who dared to step forward would surely meet their end. Celeste's face began to pale, her attacks losing their precision. Within a mere 100 moves, I had her pinned to the ground. As I held my sword against her neck, disbelief flooded her eyes. "Impossible, impossible. How could you?" she stammered. "If you possessed such power, how could the Kirin clan have been annihilated?" I couldn't help but laugh at her question. "Let me tell you a joke," I said, grinning. "I was born with extraordinary spiritual power. By the time I was 6 months old, I could single-handedly defeat both my father and mother. But my mother, Arya, once told me that the world was at peace, the divine was benevolent, and that defying the heavens with such power would only bring disaster to the realms. So she took me to the great eastern marshlands to find the Elder, who forcibly stripped away more than half of my strength. Funny enough, I owe my current recovery of power to you." Celeste froze, as if recalling something. Her already pale face turned even whiter. I chuckled darkly. "What, did you remember? When I went to the Elder to reclaim my powers, he refused. He spent over 100 years lecturing me on harmony and balance, saying that killing you would disrupt the heavens and plunge the mortal world into chaos. Though I was numb to most sensations, I still felt pity. It was only because of the Elder's restraint that I hadn't stormed the heavens to kill you. But then, 2 weeks ago, you killed him. Shall I guess why? Oh, I remember now. Wasn't it because your lover wanted to use the Elder's sacred tree for a bed frame? And so, in a fit of rage, you killed him for your lover's whim. To be fair, killing him isn't entirely unjustifiable. After all living beings must sacrifice for the sake of your love. But you see, the moment you killed him, the power he had sealed within me returned. So I really must thank you. But tell me, how could I possibly let you go after you annihilated my clan and killed my brother?" As I spoke, I pressed the sword harder against her neck. Just as Celeste seemed destined to meet her end under my blade, I felt resistance against my hand. I sneered and looked up at the Sovereign. "What's this? Done playing dead, Lord? Finally decided to intervene?" The Sovereign spoke with an air of piety, his tones steeped in compassion. "You just mentioned that you have a measure of mercy in your heart. Do you understand the consequences of killing Celeste?" I didn't hesitate. "The righteous one descends. Peace reigns over the lands." The Sovereign faltered, clearly not expecting my response. I smirked coldly. "Celeste as the so-called ruler is anything but merciful. Her mind is consumed by love and lust, treating human lives as mere playthings. Anyone would be a better ruler than her." I left no room for argument. severely injured and silent until now. Celeste couldn't hold back anymore. She roared in anger. How dare you speak of me this way? If I did all this for personal gain, I would gladly accept the world's condemnation. But everything I've done is for Dusk. He is the ancient who sacrificed himself for the heavens and earth. Every living being owes him their existence. The ancient? I laughed, holding my sword aloft. I may not know what an ancient truly is, but I deeply understand a person's character. Even after countless reincarnations, it doesn't change. My mother once told me that the ancient loved all living beings and was willing to sacrifice himself for the three realms without hesitation. Such a deity could never be compared to the likes of Dusk. I finished speaking and glanced at Dusk, whose face had turned deathly pale, his body trembling uncontrollably. My grin widened. What's this? Did I strike a nerve? Dusk stared at me, panic written all over his face. You're lying. I am the ancient. I am. I continued to press him. You say you're the ancient. What proof do you have? I have it. I have proof, he stammered. With a pale face, Dusk began disrobing in front of everyone, showing no regard for the gathered celestial beings. He knew well that if he were truly the ancient, all living beings would fight to protect him for his contributions millennia ago. Killing him would be no easy feat, but if he failed to prove his claim, he would undoubtedly face my wrath. As Dusk pulled his robes aside, revealing his pale shoulder, an intricate white lotus mark came into view, lifelike in its detail. The moment the mark was revealed, all the celestial beings' gazes turned reverent. Celeste's eyes burned with fervor. Dusk, satisfied with the reaction, tilted his head arrogantly and looked at me. This ancient lotus is undeniable proof of my identity. I stared at the white lotus on his shoulder for a long moment, before suddenly breaking into laughter, bending over as I cackled. So that's how it is, how amusing. Celeste glared at me. What are you laughing at? Years ago I searched far and wide across all lands. Dusk is the only one with the white lotus mark. He is the ancient. It cannot be fake. I shot her a cold glance. Cannot be fake, I muttered, then began removing my own robes. As my shoulder was revealed, a glowing white lotus appeared, identical in size and shape to Dusk's, but unlike his lifeless mark, mine pulsed with vitality, as if imbued with life. The 33 heavens, filled with countless gods and celestial beings, fell completely silent. The silence was so profound you could hear a pin drop. Dusk's face turned ghostly pale in an instant. Celeste stared at me in a frenzy, a mix of madness and obsession in her eyes. Impossible. How can this be? I raised my hand and slapped Celeste hard across the face. You destroyed my clan in the name of love. And now what? Are you going to change your story and tell me it was all a misunderstanding? Celeste tugged at the hem of my dress, her voice trembling as she desperately tried to explain. Phoenix, everything I did was for you. I only mistook him for you because I missed you so much. Please don't blame me. I cast a cold glance at her and replied icily, Don't shove your foolishness and cruelty onto me, Celeste. You are utterly repulsive. Without another word or concern for the anguish on her face, I sheathed my sword and walked step by step toward Dusk. His entire body trembled with fear as he shrank back, retreating until he was cornered with nowhere left to go. Finally, he collapsed at my feet, sobbing and pleading, Please spare me, have mercy, my lord. I lifted his chin with the tip of my sword and asked, Now tell me, how did that white lotus mark appear on your shoulder? How did you deceive everyone? If you dare utter a single lie, I'll obliterate your very soul. Dusk stammered, his voice shaking. I was born the lowest of the low among the demon clan, a prince despised by all. Adrift like a rootless weed, I thought my life would remain in eternal darkness until the day Celestial combed through the realms during the great war between gods and demons in search of your reincarnation. By chance, my mother had once seen you in her youth and learned that the lotus mark on the shoulder is unique to you. Out of pity for my plight, she sacrificed her cultivation to forge this false mark on me, hoping I could rise to the 33 heavens and carve out a future. As he finished, Dusk pressed his forehead into the ground, his voice breaking. Please, Lord, spare my life. I don't want to die. I want to live. I studied him for a long time before speaking. Do you remember the day you slaughtered my Kirin clan? Do you remember if my younger brother begged for his life as you are doing now? He must not have wanted to die either. Or have you forgotten who my brother was? He was the one with the fire cloud insignia on his brow, the little Kieran whose skull you cracked open while he was still alive to feast on his brain. I paused as if recalling something trivial. Oh wait, my mistake. He was so young then. He couldn't even speak, let alone beg. He probably just cried out in pain, didn't he? As I recounted the searing hatred etched into my soul, Dusk realized there was no escape for him. He stopped groveling and snapped into a deranged rage. What did I do wrong? I was a victim too. All I wanted was to stop being bullied. What did I do wrong? I looked down at him, my voice steady. No matter how much you suffer, it doesn't justify warming yourself with others' blood. What I despise is not just your impersonation of my identity, but the way you reveled in your stolen power, slaughtering innocents in your arrogance. Dusk continued to howl. I did nothing wrong, nothing. It's the heavens that wronged me. I shook my head. A summer insect cannot comprehend ice. Without hesitation, I raised my sword and sliced open his skull. With precise spell work, I slowly drained the contents of his brain. Dusk writhed on the ground in torment, his words dissolving into incoherent moans. He looked up at me, pleading, "Please, I beg you, Lord, just kill me outright." I shook my head, smiling faintly. "Oh no, that's not enough. You need to experience every ounce of suffering the little Kieran endured." It took Dusk half an hour of agonized screaming before he finally succumbed. I wiped the blood from my sword and walked toward Celeste. She stared at me in utter despair, her eyes red with anguish. "You'll never love me, will you?" I nodded, pointing my sword at her. "No, I won't. Not in this life, not in eternity. And I will kill you." Her voice cracked as she demanded, "Why? We've lived alongside the heavens and earth for over 10 millennia. We are ancient beings. Why would you kill me for the sake of lowly creatures you've only known for a fraction of that time?" I replied, "All life is equal. There is no high or low, noble or base. You, Celeste, are arrogant, ruthless, and contemptuous of all other beings. You annihilated the beast clans, and now I will use your divine soul to nourish them, granting them rebirth." As my sword descended, Sovereign appeared in a flash, stepping between Celeste and me. "Phoenix, as a god, do you truly intend to jeopardize the balance of the 3 realms by killing her?" I sneered at him. "Oh, now you want to lecture me about balance? When I was weaker than you, you taught me that strength was the only law. Now that I'm stronger, you try to suppress me with mortal principles. You think you can have it both ways? Where was your justice when Celeste was slaughtering innocents? You turned a blind eye then. Now, I will kill her, and I won't spare you either." Sovereign's expression faltered as he and Celeste joined forces against me. But even together, they could not withstand 100 blows from my blade. I tore apart their divine souls and scattered the remnants over the beast clans to nourish the spirits of the dead. With a single stroke of my sword, I split open the 33 heavens. Gods and immortals cowered in terror, falling to their knees before me. None dared to speak. I looked at them and said, "Celeste is dead. I don't care who takes up the mantle of enforcer among you, but if such atrocities occur again, I won't hesitate to return and level the heavens once more." One sword stroke shattered the firmament, and all the gods and Buddhas knelt at my feet in silence. I returned to the Kieran clan with Drake. He worked tirelessly every day, planting trees and rebuilding homes to restore the land ravaged by the massacre a century ago. During quiet nights, we would lie in the grass and gaze at the stars. Drake loved to ask, "Phoenix, do you think they'll come back someday?" I would always answer firmly, "They will." Then, staring at the countless stars above, I would think to myself, when that little Kieran returns, he'll probably have learned to call me brother. By then, no matter what Mother says, I won't go buy him candied apples.